All right. Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for coming to our webinar today. We're happy to have you. And we're really excited once again to have Kurt Lewis with us to talk to us a little bit about marketing today. So my name's Elise Matson-Dite. I am the Chief Learning Officer for the Princi project, and we are proud to present Kurt Lewis again today. He's done such a wonderful job for us in two previous webinars in helping our schools with really important pieces about how do we do marketing and enrollment in our schools. And today he's going to talk to us a little bit about getting to know our schools and messaging the mission to help with marketing and enrollment right as we kick off Catholic Schools Week. So Kurt's a wonderful marketer. He's done a great job for our schools, and we're proud to have him once again to present to all of you today. So welcome, Kurt.
Well, thank you so much. And thank you again for that kind introduction, Elise. And I'm happy to be back very soon after the last one. So hopefully a lot of you were able to join us just last week, I think. My goodness, the time flies. But we've done a handful of these so far. And today, though, is my favorite one. This is the one that I always look forward to. This is all about getting to know your school, getting to understand who you are, and then learning how to message that. And broadly today, we're going to be talking mostly about your school's website, because that is the place where you're going to be messaging about your school. And so we're going to learn how to talk about our school, how to present it, some of the ways that you might go about doing that. But a lot of it will also be just that website strategy. So we'll get into it. For those of you who have not been on previous calls, again, as Elise said, I'm Kurt Lewis. I'm a Catholic school marketing consultant working out of Chicago. And I've been all over the place. I've done all of this stuff. But the main point is, I've got a lot of information and a lot of experience with that information. So if you're ever looking for anything Catholic school marketing wise, any ideas, anything that you need, please just drop me a note. I'm here to help. KurtTheMarketer.com is my website. Please go check it out. You can reach me at Facebook, Kurt the Marketer, Instagram, Kurt the Marketer, or email me at kurtthemarketer@gmail.com. And you'll see that in some of these other slides too. But I'm easy to reach. I love to work with folks, and I've made some awesome connections, I'll have to say, over the last couple of these trainings that we did. Particularly the very most recent one that we did, I made a great connection with a friend in Idaho, and you're going to be hearing a little bit about her school later on in this presentation. So very cool there. But here are some of the things that I can help provide. EMS is Enrollment Marketing Solutions, and Enrollment Marketing Solutions, well, that's me. That's my consultancy, and so I can do all of this. I can train on parent ambassadors, customer service, retention, any number of things, a lot more listed on the website. But yeah, please reach out if you ever need any help with anything. Plus, it's good to mention, this is why I have this big splashy orange guy on here. These services can be covered through Title II funds because these are professional development services. Because I wouldn't be working as your marketer or doing those marketing things for you. I would be teaching you how to do them or helping you develop those skills, helping you develop the materials. All of that can be covered through title funding. So that is a much easier proposition for a lot of schools and dioceses. So if your school or your diocese might want to connect with me, I would love to talk to you. So again, there's my email. After this meeting, you'll receive a copy of the slides from this presentation and also a link to a video of it so that you can view it later on, because I know all of us are going to want to see this 2 or 3 times over, right? This is the EMS Digital Marketing Resource Library. This is worth the price of admission right here. If you haven't already accessed this library, I highly recommend it. This is where I'm putting a lot of the stuff that I'll be talking about today, but also all of the things that I have talked about over the last couple presentations. There's a ton of great stuff in here. Before you think about creating marketing pieces yourself or coming up with ideas yourself, check this first, and also reach out to me if you don't see it here, because odds are I've done it and I can save you a lot of time and hassle. So, Enrollment Management Continuum, I talk about this a lot. Recruit, retain, refer, repeat. Each one of these elements is equally important. I say that because we spend a lot of time in the marketing world talking about recruitment, when really our audience is already there. You know, these Catholic schools have been around for a very long time and have hundreds of students in each of them. That's already a huge success. We should be celebrating that every day. We should be thrilled that we're able to have these students, to educate them and to prepare them for the life that we hope that they're going to have. So retaining them is really key. And we put so much more effort into recruiting new students than retaining our current ones. So it's not just about providing a terrific program, which most of you are already doing very well. It's also about reminding those families of the value of it over and over and over again, helping them understand that this is the place for them. There's very few reasons that you should ever lose a student from your school, a student that you don't want to lose, we'll say that. But I can help you with all of that. But referral is really a key part of what we do. Today, however, we're broadly talking about messaging for recruitment purposes. So it will be your entire school story that we're telling, but the main purpose of it will be to find new families. I wanted to share this with you. This made my day. This happened this morning. I got this email. So in the last couple of presentations, I have mentioned the Nut Card, which you're seeing on your screen now. It is the most powerful little tool. It is free, and it is a great way to increase early re-enrollment in your school. And here's how it works. Well, I'll just read you the email because I thought this was thrilling. This email was sent to a superintendent with whom I'm working from a principal, and then that superintendent forwarded it to me. So this really couldn't have gone any better. She said, I thought you might enjoy a little good news, since superintendents tend to always be putting out fires. I just wanted to share about the success of the Nut Day. So they took their Nut Cards and they did them all on one huge day. So they're going to do this huge campaign, and they'll only have one out of uniform day. Every year we struggle to get our parents to re-register. They always do, but often not until June. Last year, 8% of our students re-registered within the first 2 weeks, 8%. This year, we're at 60% as of today. And there's currently a line out the door of parents who want to pay with credit card. I just wanted to say thank you. I left this part in. I could have cut it out, but I left it in. I really appreciate the series on marketing, and I think Kurt is wonderful. Oh, very sweet. Something so simple made a huge difference. I pray that you have a blessed day. That's the Nut Card. And it shouldn't surprise me, but it always does. I know that this works. I've seen it work over and over again. This today is the very first time that I looked at that Nut Card and thought of it as a real acorn. That if you were to plant this acorn in the ground, it would grow into something enormous and beautiful. And the Nut Card does the same thing. It's something so small and simple, and yet it can be enormous for your school. So if you'd like to see more about the Nut Cards, this is the link to it. You're going to get this. You're going to get these slides later on. You're going to get the video later on. But this link will take you to the digital library where you can download the Nut Card itself and a set of instructions on how to make it really effective, because it is very much in how you present the Nut Card itself. I should also mention too, if you don't feel like waiting, you can email me anytime. I'd be happy to send it to you. That's no problem. So we're here today to talk about messaging your mission. And the first thing I want to talk about is developing your value proposition, and then what I call mining your diamond. And so this is a Kurt Lewis original, mining your diamond. We're going to talk about what a diamond is and how you can mine it or synthesize it. Very, very interesting there. But your value proposition is really critical. And you may have heard about this at different times. And you may be wondering how that's different from your mission. Well, your value proposition is much broader than your mission, but I want to talk about missions first. Here's my issue with mission statements. Missions are absolutely essential, for sure, but they are only part of your school's overall story. Missions have been mandated in a lot of cases by accreditation organizations. So every single Catholic school has a mission that they were either, I hope that they really wanted to develop, but a lot of them were asked to develop this as part of the accreditation process. But these accreditation organizations, they've also mandated certain language that needs to be in each and every one of these mission statements. So as a result, many Catholic school missions, they look kind of similar. And I don't feel like they tell the story of individual schools. What they are great at is telling the story of Catholic education as a whole. So I read these mission statements and I'm like, yes, that's why Catholic education exists, to do that thing. But there's a reason that your school is not called Catholic School 147, and the one down the street is not Catholic School 68. The reason is they are individual schools. Why are you St. David? Why are you St. Andrew? Why are you Our Lady of the Lakes? Think about that more than your mission. So I'm not saying we scrap our mission statements or anything. I'm saying that what makes us us is the far more important part. So for example, here are 3 very nice mission statements, and you can kind of read them on your own. I'll just read the first one to you. I took out the names, and when you take out the names, these are the missions essentially of Catholic education. Catholic school provides a quality Catholic education rooted in the gospel, committed to academic excellence, Catholic faith formation, and service to others, developing active community members who model Christianity in both words and actions. The lower right, the mission of Catholic School is to provide a foundation for the nurturing of Catholic faith, traditions, and academic excellence. Our commitment is to develop students who are productive citizens and servants of God. The third one, Catholic School's mission is to be a Christ-centered school that instills excellence in learning, Catholic values, and service to the community within the framework of the gospel. Hopefully that reminds you of your school as well, because these are things that all Catholic schools should be doing and broadly are doing. That's what makes missions a little bit tricky. They're a little too vague. So think about your own school's mission. If you removed your school's name from your mission statement, would you know that it's describing your school? Now, again, I'm not saying you scrap your mission or even start over on it. I'm saying that you will need to add elements that help tell your school story a little bit better than your mission does. Each of these is excellent, but they're really talking about Catholic education itself. So today we're going to talk about how you can talk about your school specifically in the most important place possible. That's your website. So for example, here's a way that one school took of sharing the mission beyond the mission statement. So they're talking much more mission than statement. This is from Our Lady of Mount Carmel Academy here in Chicago. Terrific school, but we'll zoom in on it. Educating children in the Lakeview neighborhood in Chicago since 1888. So already we know something pretty distinct about them from the first line. Our Lady of Mount Carmel Academy offers top-tier academics in a nurturing Catholic environment. The curriculum and student life of OLMCA emphasizes the holistic development and growth of each student. That's already pretty amazing. And this is what you see on their mission page. So this is their mission. They were able to expand it and get something really deep out of it and still meet all of the mandates of the accreditation organization. So enrichment options, yet small enough that each child receives individual attention and support. By the time our students graduate and move on to the top high schools in the city, graduate, move on to top high schools, they're equipped not only with strong academic background, but also with spiritual and social lessons on loving God and their neighbor. OLMCA students win math contests, ballroom dance competitions, science Olympiad awards, and sports tournaments. But above all, they become leaders in their communities and the church. Wow. That's a terrific mission. The challenge that I will put to you today is condensing that even further. So first, coming up with the right language to talk about your school, and second, coming up with a way to condense it. Let's see how they did. Academic excellence is only the beginning. That's their diamond. That's their tagline, their motto. Academic excellence is only the beginning. And I think looking at just their mission, you can see that they mean that. And I love the concept that we are starting with academic excellence. You will be getting that, and then so much more. And then they describe right here in their mission what some of that more might be. So I thought they did a terrific job with their mission, and especially with their tagline. Another one, St. Joseph Catholic School. I liked this. They have their mission, and their mission is quite good, but here's what I really like. They then expand it on their mission page. So St. Joseph Catholic School, we are called. That's their diamond. Their diamond is we are called. So they took that and said, the 4 cornerstones of our mission. We are called to grow. We are called to live our Catholic faith. We are called to serve. We are called to love. And then under each one of those, they have both the intrinsic and extrinsic things that they're doing, the things that they're doing in kind of an anecdotal way, the things that they're doing the literal way inside of the classrooms that help them achieve each of these things that they are called to do. They took their mission that was itself fine, but then expanded it to show what they really do on a day-to-day basis to achieve that mission. I liked that one a lot, St. Joseph Catholic School. You'll notice too that I put the websites of these schools at the bottom of these pages. As you go through them, I highly encourage you to go and visit these websites. These are excellent sites with great content in them, and you can always learn from your peers, from your neighbors, from other schools in the area, from schools thousands of miles away. There are always opportunities to improve your own website based on what is already working for someone else. But I loved how they blew up their mission and expanded it, and it just is such a beautiful illustration of their diamond. We are called. So a value proposition is a more complete picture of your school. Your mission statement is only one piece. Your value proposition is the completed puzzle. I say this because it's tough to know how to describe the value proposition sometimes, but your value proposition is there to help you answer some key questions from parents. You've heard these questions 100 times. Why should I spend my money or put effort into pursuing financial aid to send my child to your school? Public school is free and easy. So they're comparing expensive and hard to free and easy. That's an easy choice for a lot of folks. So we have to get them over that hump. That's what the value proposition does. Another question, do I trust that your school is truly better than the other choices that I have? Do I trust? Is it better? And what will my student be getting? Is it going to be worth what I'm paying? So that's value right there, just cost versus what they actually get. So there's many ways to describe your school. And we're going to talk about the show and the tell. I'm going to talk about the tell first. And these are some of the most standard ways that are also quite effective of talking about a school on a website. And here's why I talk about the websites primarily. It's a book about your school, basically. It is your entire story captured digitally. It is where, if you are going to spend any money on marketing and any time on marketing, spend it on the website first. Get that right, because that is where people are finding you in the world. People are no longer, by and large, walking into a school, asking to see it, asking questions about it. They're finding out about it online before they ever even decide to take a tour. I have really curtailed the number of marketing physical pieces that I work on or that I recommend schools use. Mostly what I'm recommending these days is this, a business card. And on the back of that business card, a QR code. That is how people are going to find you now. You don't need to create a giant brochure or any number of papers and flyers and ads and all sorts of things. This one card was how we were driving referrals in all of the schools in all of the areas where I'm working. It really works, but it works when the website works, when the website is good. So here are some places on the website where people are talking about their message and really filling out that value proposition. This could be your mission statement, vision statement, your root values, your core beliefs, your diamond, a letter from the principal, letter from the pastor, the graduate at graduation. I love those pages, the about page, the athletics page. Those are some of the places that we're going to straight out tell you about our school, about our mission, about our value. And you might be surprised that the athletics page showed up on there, but I'll tell you why in a little bit. Now, here are some show pages, the pages or items on your website where you're going to show more than tell the actual value of your school. Excellent photos, job number one, having great photos on your site. Those photos, of course, are worth 1,000 words. Your history page is a great way to show a message. Testimonials, of course, alumni profiles, valedictorians, high school acceptance, detailed academic pages, thoughtfully written tuition page, clubs, activities, sports, and their associated trophies. Now you'll notice right in the middle of that, I said valedictorians. Well, what do I mean by that? I've worked with a few schools lately who wanted to show the full continuum of the services that they offer. What can you expect if your student starts here at 3 years old? What can you expect from them in literally 20 years when they are getting out of high school, getting into college? What can you expect? The easiest way to show this, as I talked to the schools, was they had a number of students who had been valedictorians and salutatorians at local terrific high schools, but they had captured that nowhere. That was not on their website, that was not in their office. And I said, let's build what I was calling a digital academic trophy case. A digital academic trophy case. That would be basically a place on your site where you capture information like students who are valedictorians, the logos of high schools where our students are going, because we're sending them to some of the top high schools in the city or in the suburbs or in our local area, but we're sending them to the best schools. Logos from the colleges that our students are attending. Tell that story visually. Show them that this is the kind of success that they can expect from their students when they come through. It's a beautiful and effective way to show that, that continuum. But in general, here are the portions that I really love to see on a website. And if these are working well, you're doing great. This is a lot. This is a lot. The places where those stars are, if those pages are great, you are in the top 5% of Catholic school websites in the country. Very few people are doing this extremely well, but I'm going to show you a few today who I think are doing at least parts of it very, very well. But if you, again, could spend time and dollars on marketing or even just time, this is where I would put that time, getting these parts of your website as good as they can be. The bottom line for both show and tell elements, who are we? So your value proposition, as I mentioned, a lot of it is about the intrinsic and the extrinsic. So here are two parent testimonials. The first one mentioning, with knowing everyone, there's a sense of family and community. She would not find switching schools every couple of grades. That's an intrinsic thing. That is a feel that it is home, that she feels safe. At the bottom, they have a great band program, sports or robotics club, and many more activities to keep her engaged and involved. That's extrinsic. That's visible, that's out there, that's something that we offered, not just to make that family happy, but for the development of the student. We'll talk about that a little bit on our athletics page. The other one, the intrinsic, most importantly, they learn an environment where the entire school community is rooted in faith. I know that each teacher, aide, coach, and parent volunteer is reinforcing the same values that we teach in our home. That's the intrinsic, the feel of it. The extrinsic, the school continues to invest in technology and STEM programs to prepare the students for challenges ahead. That is something that they can see with their eyes physically happening inside of the school. So your value proposition is all of those things. It's the intrinsic and the extrinsic. All of it has value. We want a total package for our students. I'm positive that every one of your schools has at some point in their history had a student leave for another school that they said was going to be way better, and then come back the very next year because it wasn't way better. Even though that new school might have had the brand new high-end electronics programs and languages and maybe a pool and all sorts of things, they didn't have the intrinsic things that you are offering. And people came back to where they knew was their home. Think about that as you're writing these pages. What is it that families need to know, not just to get them here, but to keep them here? So what does a value proposition look like? I really wish I could tell you. That's the tough part. You will rarely ever see a section on a website that is called value proposition. Instead of value proposition, it looks like a top-notch website. It looks like a website that is functional and is populated with all sorts of amazing things, but really tells a great story. The literal value is the cost, so the tuition you charge, versus the worth, the experience that their student will have. What does it cost versus what am I getting? We detail the cost on the tuition page, but we detail the worth on every page of the website. As people go through, they should really understand what they're getting from this place as they look page by page. Being intentional about the value proposition that you hope to display will add a logical through line to your entire site. The simplest way to focus your value proposition is with a diamond, and we're going to talk about what a diamond is. But basically, as you go through your website, you want one voice, one concept, one idea that you're trying to get across to parents as they go page by page. Finding your diamond. To find your diamond, start with your value proposition. So what are the distinguishing aspects, the dynamics of your school that set you apart? What gives you your unique identity and reason for being? Catholic, excellent, and safe are no longer sufficient. Those are still the values that I hear when I go into all kinds of Catholic schools. I say, what's unique about you? And they say, well, you know, we're faith-filled and our students are academically succeeding and excelling, and we're a safe, home-friendly family environment. That is all terrific. It's just the start. That should be the baseline. That is the bottom line for what our school should be. Everything that our school really is above and beyond that. Catholic, excellent, and safe are no longer sufficient. They are the minimum you should expect when you enroll in a Catholic school. Once you understand your value proposition, you can then condense it into your diamond. A simple phrase, a set of values, a tagline, or a motto, which serves as a thesis statement for your school marketing efforts. And for those of you, all of you, who are in education, hopefully this thesis statement, that will be the thing that really cements in your brain. Think about that thesis statement because it's going to be at the top of every page of your website. When I help someone develop a diamond, the first thing I want them to do with it is to put it right at the top of their site. It should say Saint Anonymous School, and then my value proposition, where tradition meets innovation. And that's going to be in my logo at the top of the page, every single page that you scroll to, so that every page starts with where tradition meets innovation. And then that page describes exactly that thought, describes that diamond. And every page on your website can and should do exactly that. It should start with the thesis statement and then offer supporting evidence. So if you think of your whole website as a thesis paper, this will make it much easier for you. I I have a pretty scattered mind. I'm creative. I have attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, and that can make it challenging to do this. I'm all about the flowery language and getting people passionate about what I do. If you are that kind of person, a lot of this will be simple because it's easy to talk about your passion about this place. But if you're on the other side, if you are a great academic person, a student, great at putting together a thesis statement, a thesis paper like this is in your wheelhouse. This is going to be awesome. Even if you had somebody else write it, you as the editor can go through and say, I don't see anything on this page that talks about our diamond or that shows me something that's in our values. So having that value prop in mind on every page will make your page much stronger. Here are some diamond examples. St. Teresa School, forming Christian scholars for the 21st century. Academic excellence is only the beginning. We already saw that one. Touches the mind, touches the spirit, embracing our Catholic faith, enriching young minds, forming global citizens, be a part of something greater, faith, family, tradition, while inspiring academic excellence. Now, many of those are also kind of a mouthful and kind of a lot, but they are easy to prove. When you show these page by page, you can show how your school is embracing Catholic faith, enriching young minds, and forming global citizens. St. Bartholomew should have an easy time on every page showing how they do those things. Now, touches the mind, touches the spirit, that's a little bit more kind of out there and harder to grasp fully, but you can still show it on every page. When you are talking about your academics, touches the mind. When you're talking about all of your faith formation and all of the family things that you're doing, touches the spirit. Just make sure that you come back to that phrase over and over again. So finding your diamond, what do you do? What does your school do? And that sounds like an easy question until we sit down and we really think about it. What should our tagline be? Well, we need to figure out what we do. It's vital to find out what you do better than any other school, or at least more than any other school, or what you're known for, what people are talking about when they talk about you. The answer may not match your current mission. Here are a few ways that you might define or sharpen your value proposition. And I love doing this. This is my favorite thing to do with a school, is to sit down and develop exactly this. We can look at different elements of it. We can say, well, what's your mascot? Perhaps your mascot are the Mustangs, or the Cougars, or the Pride, or the Bulldogs. I was sitting with a school earlier this year. Their mascot is the Mustangs. They were talking about how what really drives them is helping every student understand who they are and helping them be the very best version of themselves. That is how they distinguish themselves from other Catholic schools and especially from public schools. They were not trying to fit every student into a mold. They wanted them to be the best version of themselves, to use the gifts that God had given them to serve the world and become better. And it just clicked with me. I said, oh, so like these are their powers that they have and they're Mustangs. From now on, these are their horsepowers. So from now on, we are the Mustangs, we have horsepower. And they can talk about it on every page, how they use their horsepower to make the world a better place, to become better students, to become better athletes, to become better chess players. Everything is down to those gifts that they were given and how they make use of them. You might go off of your namesake. I love these. Frassati, Blessed Trinity, St. Agatha, St. Joan of Arc. These are terrific figures and terrific biblical concepts. And you could build your brand off of that. Frassati, for example, Frassati Catholic Academy here near Chicago, they are named after Pier Giorgio Frassati, who's a fascinating guy. He is basically a rich Italian bon vivant, and he would take his friends up into the Alps and he would say, everyone ski, everyone eat, everyone have a great time, I'll pay for everything, but only if you go to mass with me, only if you pray with me. And he would spread the word that way. So he was a big time adventurer. Apologize, I have something in my eye. He was a big time adventurer. And that's what that school wanted for their students. And so when we talked about their values, they said, we want our kids to be smart. And I said, could we change that concept to clever? We want our kids to be clever, to think around corners, to solve problems, to come up with unique solutions. So we took each of their values and thought about how Pier Giorgio would do it. And then they came up with this excellent phrase for Pier Giorgio, for the school. He's a mountain climber. Now their school's diamond is verso el alto, reach for the heights. It's an actual quote from Pier Giorgio Frassati. And it works perfectly for everything that they're doing. Reach for the heights. And now that is on every page of their site. You might also go off of one of your school's core values: peacemaking, service, leadership, global citizenship. I was so fortunate when I went to St. Pius V School to work there. I was there for 5 years. They already had this core value of peacemaking. This was at the center of everything that they did. And every year they would give away a Peacemaker Award to 2 students in every classroom, the 2 students who exemplified most the idea of peacemaking. And this was particularly important because they lived in a neighborhood that wasn't terribly safe. And we were expecting them to go out and make their neighborhood a better place to be by being a great example for everyone around them, but also to take this out into the world and make peace. So peacemaking meant having love for others, being welcoming, being attentive to the needs of the people around you. And it was so incredibly valuable and made it so easy to talk about our school. It was even easy to take something like a science lesson or a math lesson and say, how does this relate to peacemaking? It's complex, but it can be done. If you go back to your core values or your diamond over and over again, you will find a way to relate every part of your school to it. I like to show these virtues and values. There are tons of them. Some of these are biblical, some of these are just general everyday values, but this is the kind of stuff that you can easily build your diamond around, build your brand around, build your value proposition around if you think about the core things that your school does. So if you look at your mission, odds are good these words aren't in it. But if you go to your classrooms and you see what your teachers are teaching, they are teaching some of these lessons every day. Things like peacemaking. Peacemaking may or may not have been in that school's vision or in their mission, but it was what we really did. So it's what we talked about all the time. So what values are most important to your school? Are these evident in the hallways and in the classrooms? These are big, broad concepts. So I want to kind of get down to how it's really done. So I'm going to give you some ideas, some examples of synthesis. So of course, you know that in the world, there are natural or mined diamonds that are pulled out of the ground, but there are also synthesized diamonds, diamonds that are essentially coal put under an enormous amount of pressure for time, and that becomes a diamond. It is no less a diamond than the one that came out of the ground. They are exactly alike. So here is how I go about synthesizing a diamond. Sometimes you will just find it. Sometimes you really have to create it. So for example, school number 1 that I was working with, our mascot is an eagle. We are constantly being told that our school is a home away from home and that our kids feel safe here. We're preparing them to soar one day. It's a home for eagles who are going to soar. Welcome to the nest. That was such an easy phrase for them to start using. Welcome to the nest. It was welcoming for outsiders who wanted to come and tour the school and find out about the school for the first time. It was welcoming for the students who were coming into the school for the first time. But it was a great way of showing, because it's called the nest, it also communicates that we're preparing these kids to leave the nest. We're preparing them to soar. We're getting them ready throughout their school career to be eagles. So then they even rebranded their classrooms to have the eaglets in the youngest grades and then the eagles at graduation. I love that. So you can really lean into this theme and it informs everything that you do and every way that you talk about your school. School number 2, we encourage our kids to explore. We focus heavily on the arts. We go above and beyond for our kids and teach them to do the same. We love alliteration. This was a school that wanted to use a set of values as their diamond. So sometimes your diamond is going to be a tagline, an actual sentence like welcome to the nest, or actually that's more of a motto. A tagline would be like academic excellence is only the beginning. But your diamond could also be a set of values, and that's what this school wanted to use. And they said, we wanted to start with the same letter. And the more I talked to them, the more I realized that the 3 things that I felt like their kids were learning, but also their teachers were displaying from day to day: curious, creative, caring. Now, originally we were thinking about going with curiosity, creativity, and care, but it just didn't ring as well to us. Like those were values that we wanted to instill, but instead, this is what people actually are inside of this school. Inside of the walls, teachers and students are curious, creative, and caring. And I love that. I don't often recommend the word caring to schools because it can be kind of vague and hard to demonstrate. This happened to be a school that I was sitting at and working with the teachers, and they just cared so much. And I see that at many schools, but this was a school where it was really a special part of what they did, just the extra care that they put into everything that they did, how much they cared about being teachers and about being the best teachers they could be. I was super impressed. And so I said, I would love to see caring in your diamond. Curious, creative, caring. School number 3. Our name is St. Andrew. We want our students to become fishers of men, just like our namesake. And Andrew was the first disciple called by Jesus. We were in this meeting, we were going round and round with all sorts of different ideas about fishers of men and how could we incorporate nets and fishing and things like that. And it just wasn't quite clicking. And then it was actually their pastor, a Monsignor, who said, well, you know, Andrew was the first called. And it just hit. And I said, answering the first call. That is what our teachers are doing. That is what our students are doing. Our teachers and our students have both been called to be fishers of men. They were called by Christ to do this great thing, but not just to be fishers of men, but to do all of the things the disciples did over time. That is a lofty goal and a lofty ambition that they're really trying hard to make sure that every kid can achieve. I loved that, answering the first call. It was so simple and so specific to their namesake. So these are the kinds of things that we can do, and the kind of things where if you need help with this, please contact me. I would love to go through this with you. I would love to go through this process with you and help you develop your diamond for your school. But this gives you an idea of what I'm talking about when I say we've got our value proposition, we've got these things that we know about ourselves, we synthesize it, get our diamond, and now this diamond can inform every way that we talk about the school. So now, if I'm St. Andrew, I have answering the first call at the top of my page, and then each and every one of my pages describes how I, as a staff member, or how my students are answering that first call. Here are a few other ways to describe your value proposition on your website. So one is your vision. A great way to share what your school does is to describe what it strives to do. What is your school trying to do? What is your vision for your school or your students? So for example, St. David Catholic School will be recognized and respected as a leader in the advanced use of technology for problem solving, lifelong learning, and social justice. Wow. I mean, that is dynamite. It is really short as just a vision statement, but it is so specific. This is what they're going for. So if this is our vision, we know how to get there. We know how to become a leader in the advanced use of technology for problem solving, for lifelong learning, and we know how to engage our kids in things that will make them better at seeking social justice. I love that these are their visions, that this is the thing that they're striving for in the future. Values, another page that I see on a lot of websites, and some are doing it very well. But like the Boy Scouts, you can have a set of values which you hope to instill in each of your students. I love these. I love these values. In a previous one of these trainings, I actually showed you my own set of values that I use for my website. They're an acronym. I love acronyms. That's a great way to set up your values. So I was working with one school. Their mascot is the All-Stars, and the principal inherited this mascot. Doesn't love it. All-Stars is a little bit vague and hard to kind of get people excited about, but she still wanted to keep it. It was tradition, and they wanted to do more with that name and figure out a way to make it more meaningful across the school. So we developed a set of values with All-Stars as an acronym. So I pitched this as kind of their value statement. Achievement, leadership, loyalty, service, tenacity, adaptability, respect, sincerity. That's 8 really excellent values. If we had students who are doing all 8 of those things when they graduate, my goodness, we're set. We're doing the very best you can do. Plus, you can take these values right now and post them. You put them in your hallway, you can put them in your classroom, and this gives you an opportunity for non-judgmental corrective moments. As you're walking through the hallway and someone is creating some kind of issue, you can literally point to this poster and say, hey, there's something on there that you're not doing right now. Can you point to which one of those values I'd really like to see more of right now? And they might say, yeah, actually, I'm being disrespectful. Totally true. Let's try to show more respect. That'd be awesome. Here we go. You take the judgment out of it. You take the anger out of it. You just point back to your values that every student should be espousing, should be demonstrating themselves, and we should be demonstrating for them. And that can allow you to correct without having it escalate. I love these values, especially when they're an acronym. That just makes it easier to remember, and it's just clever and fun. I like that. Now, here's a school that I mentioned at the top of the presentation, St. Mary's Catholic Parish School in Moscow, Idaho. I talked to Sister Margaret just yesterday because I was so impressed when I went back to her website by how they had taken these ideas and put them together on one page. So we'll start with just their mission. St. Mary's Parish Catholic School exists as a vital part of the St. Mary's Church ministry by serving as an evangelization arm for the parish. Our mission is to encourage and challenge its students to grow tangibly in their relationship with God as they strive to be lifelong learners, igniting their faith, knowledge, creativity, and service. I already like that a lot. There are some great things in there, especially those last four values: faith, knowledge, creativity, and service. You could take that all over the site and talk about it. But then they went even further with something that I really liked, and this is kind of what the whole page looks like. So there's their philosophy and mission and vision, their SLEs. But this vision statement, imagine your child. What an evocative start. What a great way to start that. Increasing in respectfulness, resourcefulness, and responsibility. Remember those words. Focusing on God's loving presence, being guided by devoted and professional teachers, being equipped to excel and growing in confidence, becoming dream makers and world changers. Imagine your child changing the world. What an invitation. My goodness, what an invitation. And then they talk about their 3 R's at the bottom, which I just adore: respect, responsibility, resourcefulness. Respect for self and others, responsibility for self and to others, resourcefulness, using one's gift to build a better world. And you're talking about Idaho and not urban Boise or anything like that, like 6 hours away from that. Resourcefulness is going to be important in these kids' lives. So looking at that more closely, I was just so floored by this. I love it. And then they took that and they synthesized it into their diamond, where respect, resourcefulness, and responsibility is lived. And you can bet that they're doing that. That shows up on every page: respect, responsibility, resourcefulness, over and over and over again. And it made me happy as I went through their website. I mean, you get to their homepage and you see photos like these: respect, resourcefulness, responsibility, respect, resourcefulness, responsibility. They're showing you respect, resourcefulness, and responsibility in these photos without having to say it. It's not written on them. These are just the impressions that I get when I look at them. And that's why they went even further, and right there in their shield, a way of life. St. Mary's, a way of life. Terrific. Terrific. I mean, just a great way to talk about the school, to talk about your values. Those 3 R's it's kind of the same as the 3 C's for that other school, or the acronym for the All-Stars. Like, these are great ways to remember that, and they will remember it for the rest of their lives. Those 3 R's are going to be critical to them as they go throughout their education and the rest of their lives. But think about those 3 words: respect, resourcefulness, and responsibility are not necessarily at the top of the list for every Catholic school. This makes them unique. I love this, and thank you, sister, for allowing me to use it. Here's another one, a belief statement. I like belief statements a lot. This is a great way to share what your school does I think I took that text from another slide and might not have updated it, but either way, I wanted to show you All Saints Catholic School, their social responsibility part of their beliefs. All Saints Catholic School believes in and respects religious, ethnic, cultural, and economic diversity. All Saints Catholic School believes that exploring the themes of Catholic social teaching through service learning opportunities and is an integral part of the All Saints community. All Saints Catholic School believes the concept of a village in which the partnership between the school and family is essential to the development of the whole child. Awesome. Awesome use of their beliefs. These are the things that they truly believe. And when they believe them, it is much easier to help the students believe them. Having that passion inside of you, having that belief inside of you makes it so much easier to teach it to a student. But then they go one step further, which I really liked. I did the same thing with this one with the wrong text, but ignore the text at the top. Social responsibility, they then put this in the graduate at graduation part. So I encourage you to go to this page and see how the two parallel, because they talk about the same thing on both pages. They don't say, we talk about social responsibility when you're in school, but we don't think about it when we talk about the graduate at graduation. No, they have this great grad at grad page And it talks about that same social responsibility piece. Our graduate has contributed to society, brought his or her gifts and talents to the community, accepted both talents and limitations, become the next generation leader. This is all before they've graduated. This is what I love about Catholic education. When I go to public schools, they say, oh yeah, we're forming leaders for tomorrow. That doesn't interest me. Catholic schools are forming leaders for today. They're forming kids who are going out right now and making a difference. And they're saying that by the time you graduated from All Saints, you will have done that. You will have made that difference and you'll be prepared to continue doing it throughout high school, college, and career. Love it. Here's another element you might consider, a letter from the principal. Principal letters may contain a number of characteristics: a genuine welcome, an invitation to learn more about the school, expectations for students and families, a vision for the school. That is one thing I really want to see in every single principal letter to the community. And the things about the school which the principal is most proud. And this is not hard to do. I've seen a lot of principals struggle with what should my letter say. I want it to say everything, and I want it to be perfect. I would much rather you just talk about what you love about the place. What is great about this place? Why am I here? I could be anywhere else. I could be in any other job. I could be in any other school. I'm here. Why here? And what is my vision for this place? This school over time has had and will have a lot of different leaders. But during my time here, here's what is important about it. I have a vision that the following things are going to change, get better, get stronger. And I have a vision that our traditions are going to remain and they're going to get stronger. They're going to make us who we are. So I want these things to stay the same. I want these things to get even better than they are. That is my vision for the school. If you do that in your letter, it is going to be incredibly powerful. A history page. Frankly, most school history pages tend to be rather dry. So consider something more visual and engaging, such as this timeline from St. Greg's. They used an actual timeline instead of just paragraph after paragraph about who was running the church at that point and when the school was built and all that. They built a real timeline and lined it up with these beautiful pictures. A well-made history page, it gives the impression that your school has deep roots and is not going anywhere anytime soon. Some of us, sadly, are in dioceses where Catholic schools have been closing or have closed in the past. And we want people to know from the moment that they get to our page, we're not going anywhere. We have nothing to worry about. Don't worry about it. Come and find out more about us before you ever think about a thing like that. A strong history page can tell you that, like, we've had this history, we're going to have more. An athletics page. I love athletics pages, especially when they're well done. Why do we even offer sports programs at Catholic schools? We don't have to. It's totally optional, but why do we do it? Is it to make our parents happy? Is it to get more kids in the school? It should not be. We do it because it is for our students' physical, emotional, and spiritual development. We do it because they can use God's gifts and improve what they're doing, all for the glory of God. We can do this in Christ's name, just as we do everything else in Christ's name. We shouldn't leave our values on the sidelines as we run onto the field. It should stay out there as well. We should learn to lose well. We should learn to win well. We should learn teamwork. All of these things are important. So on your sports page, if you just have a list of your sports and some photos, that's not quite enough. It would be great to say, here's why we offer these programs. Here's why they're important to us, and why they're important to your students. Testimonials. I love testimonials. Nothing that we can say is as powerful as a satisfied customer, as what a parent or a student or an alumnus says about our school. OLMCA has a great testimonial section on the homepage, and it scrolls. So this is just one of many testimonials that scroll across the page as you sit on the homepage. So you can see one after another, but then you can also click on it and go to a full page of all of their testimonials lined up. It's very powerful evidence. Again, what we say about our school, we're biased. We love this place. We want it to do well. What our parents say about our school, what our students say about our school, even our current students, that is important. That is what other people want to know. So you want these on your website. You also want them on all the other sites where people can review schools. So testimonials, incredibly important. Get as many as you can. Anytime anybody walks into your office or sends you an email, that has something nice in it, ask them, hey, can I keep that? Or can I get you to write that down? I'm really going to want to use that again. And videos. Videos are not easy. Totally. When it comes to telling your story online, though, nothing beats a video. It does not need to be fancy. It really doesn't. People get into their head about videos. Videos, they can be tough. But a slideshow that you make of just photos of your school, this is a great way to do a virtual tour. A slideshow set to music can be really effective. But also, consider engaging a local high school, local Catholic high school, which have media production clubs or labs and students who need service hours. Amazing connect. All of a sudden, what would have cost you $5,000 costs you virtually nothing. You have students who are willing to come back, some of whom already went to your school. They're alumni. They know the place like the back of their hand. They're willing to come back and take video of your school. Some of them own really insanely nice drones and can do a really great sweeping shot of the outside of your school. Awesome. But engage them first before you ever go to a professional videographer, because they will do incredible things. Kids now with video editing are just insane. They can make it look like a professional video, and then you just get your voiceover over it and some music and you're done. So consider that, because I do love videos on websites. They do a great job of telling the story for you. Now, I talked about all of the places you can find a lot of the things above. Here are a bunch more websites, both in the Archdiocese of Miami and the Archdiocese of Chicago. These are two arches where I've worked very closely with a lot of the schools. I've trained them on so much of this stuff, and in turn, they have trained me on so much of it, because they've done such incredible things on their sites, and I've gotten to borrow it and share it with you. So I encourage you to check out these sites. Also, if you'd like, you can set up a website refresh with me, and we can meet and talk about your website, go through it page by page, and how you might go about improving it. And you can learn more about that on my website. But again, go to these pages, find out more, and see what you can do to improve your own offering on your page. If you are not confident with your website, that's not great, because it is where we're telling our story. It is where we're taking our message and putting it out to the world. We want to drive people to our website. Even if you do brochures, even if you do business cards, even if you do flyers, even if you do mailers, what do all of them have in it? Your school's website. You're driving them back to this one place where you can fully tell the story. You want it to be as good as possible. I highly recommend, if you feel like you need to scrap your site and start over, go with Fact School site. It's a great way to go. It's a plug and play solution. They have a ton of experience with this. They have templates that are already ready for Catholic schools. They've done it a bunch of times and they're amazing. So John Mark Davey, he's my guy at Facts. Tell him that I sent you. We're not going to have time to go through a lot of this, but as we look at what parents want when they're coming to your school, there's what they want to know versus what they need to know. So they'll ask things like, what is your school like? What they need to know is, what is it about? What's your tuition? What is financial aid like? And what is tuition worth? What are students learning versus what are they becoming? What does your school look like versus what does your school feel like? These are the kinds of bits of information that we want to get to them. I know what they're asking for, but it's my job to tell them what they need to know. And where are they going to find this information? That's your homepage, your tuition page, your about page, your virtual tour. This all exists there, and we can share the message we want to give them rather than the exact thing that they're looking for. A lot of times people will go to a website, they'll go straight to the tuition page, they'll see the number, say that's too much, they'll move on. We can't have that. We need to finesse our even our tuition pages so that they are better sources for these families. They start with a thoughtful write-up about why we charge tuition, and then by the end of it, they feel good about the idea that this should cost what it costs. I'm just going to buzz through these and allow you to look at these later on. These are 3 home pages I think are very strong. These are 2 about pages that I think are great. 3, sorry. And virtual tour page examples. I knew that I was fitting a lot into this training, but I'm going over time already, I'm sure. But I also want to point you to these tuition page examples because they do such a nice job of presenting in a sensitive way why tuition is charged and why it's important. And I think every website should do that. If your tuition page is just a set of numbers, that really doesn't take into consideration the families who are reading it, and it doesn't speak to that diamond that you now have at the top of your website. One more thing about photos, professional photos worth 10,000 words, but you can also, again, ask any of your school parents. Are any of you professional photographers or even hobbyist photographers? Do you have great equipment that you can come and photograph the school? Or local high schools also have photography clubs. This could be a great way to fulfill service hours, but you also have to make sure that you've updated that photo and academic release form. I always mention that, and that's a link to a very good form that you can use for your families. Don't use students' last names associated with their photos. An initial and a grade level works just fine. But when you're talking about pictures, it's tempting to cram in as many kids as you can, but the highest impact ones are fewer, higher impact, great looking photos of students. This grabs someone as they're going through a website or as they're going through social media. This is the kind of thing where they'll pause for a second and see what else you have to say. So always lean towards those higher impact photos rather than large group shots. But remember, your website, it's a book about your school. Make sure to tell a story that is compelling, moves logically, and will leave the reader wanting more. Figure out how your website flows. Does it actually tell a story about your school? If not, you've got some work to do. And again, I'd be happy to help you do it. In the meantime, I'm going to ask if anyone has any questions, and I'll leave this open for a little bit. You can put your questions up in the chat if you have any. But for now, I'll go ahead and remind you again, my name's Kurt Lewis. You can reach me at kurtthemarketer.com, but especially email me, kurtthemarketer@gmail.com. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. I would love to hear from all of you. Again, these trainings have been awesome for me because I've gotten to make so many cool connections afterward. So if you have any questions, comments, concerns, complaints, suggestions, anything that I could share with other folks, if you want me to look over your stuff, just let me know. I'd be happy to. So give me a shout, and thank you again to the Presido Project. This is a great opportunity. It is my mission to get more kids into our great Catholic schools, and especially kids who really, really need it, kids who will very much appreciate it, for whom this will be a life-changing experience. So the more I can help you find those kids, the more I'm meeting my own mission. So thank you, Presido Project. Thank you, everyone who's in the audience today, for helping me meet my own mission. I hope you all have a terrific rest of the week, and very best of luck next week during Catholic Schools Week. If you haven't already seen my presentation from last week on Catholic Schools Week, I encourage you to find that. We've got links to it, I know, that have gone out to schools as well. There is a question in the question box: should social media pictures be only pictures, not pictures with text? Great question. You can do either. It depends on the kind of message that you're trying to send. Sometimes the text over the picture distracts or takes away from the real power of the picture. But if you have something like an open house coming up where you really need people to read that text below that Instagram post, you might put in there open house details below. So I'm fine with text over pictures. By and large, I like pictures that tell the story themselves. So again, if you're trying to talk about the technology being offered in your school, the resourcefulness of your students, show them doing it, and then offer that description. Hopefully seeing the picture itself will encourage people to go in and take a look at the text that's underneath. Well, again, any other questions that you might have, please feel free to send them to me, kurtthemarketer@gmail.com. I hope you have a terrific day, and I'll see you all again soon. Thanks a lot.
Great. Thanks so much, everybody. And we'll be sending out the webinar shortly. So thank you very much. And thank you very much for coming. Take care, everybody.